All right, 9 spiral. Let's cook. Okay. We up early in the morning cooking. All right. Now you say, a brother 9, Oct 9. What are we cooking, man? What do you have in the pot on the stove? And I would say, Stolen History, Part 2. All right. And so we're at stolenhistory.net. All right. Shout out to you guys. Allow me to cook with you. All right. If you will. And my aim, all right, my tribe, is to tie in scripture. This is what I specialize in at Drop Nation. Okay. So without further ado, hey, say, my man, what you were saying now?
The more I think about it, the more I am convinced that it is extremely difficult to come up with clear evidence for written history prior to 1700.
Okay.
What I struggle with about our recent past is a good understanding of the possible relationship between multiple reset events, natural cataclysms, or worldwide wars.
Same here. Same here.
I want to share the picture that is emerging for me. I get the impression that there are two relevant Earth-spanning reset events that define our current society.
Okay.
A great, almost complete reset around 500 to 600 years ago, and another reset caused by an Earth-spanning post-reset war over the resources and power in the new post-reset world.
Come on. All right, let's go.
I suggest that there was a natural cataclysm around 500 to 600 years ago.
All right, now, my man says natural cataclysm, but we know better, my tribe. We say what? The Most High did it.
Followed by a time of civil renewal, but also political intrigues and power struggles, especially between 1600 and 1800, which then epically and tragically culminated in a world war sometime around 1800 between two factions.
Okay.
One of which has been omitted from history. Probably the one that lost.
Okay, and so we ask two simple questions. Who lost? And who was omitted from history? So-called Negro, huh? Because here in Deuteronomy 28, verse 20, the Most High says, I will send on you, so-called Negro. You see, it went from color to Negro to black to Afro, African American, right back to nigger. You see, the Most High will send cursing and confusion and rebuke in all that you set your hand to do until you are destroyed and until you perish quickly because of the wickedness of your doings, Israel, in which you have forsaken me. Oh, yes. Even you, Judah, the lawgiver. Jeremiah 17, verse 1 through 4. The sin of Judah is written with the pen of iron. With the point of a diamond, it is engraved on the tablet of their heart and on the horns of their altars, while their children remember. You see, we inherited these curses from our forefathers and our foremothers, huh? Their altars and their wooden images, huh? By the green trees on the high hills, O my mountain in the field, I will give you as plunder, huh? Shalaki, I will give as plunder your wealth, all your treasures, and your high places of sin within all your borders. And you, yes, Judah, O tribe of Judah, even you, yourself, shall what? Let go of your heritage which I gave you, and I will cause you to serve your enemies in the land which you do not know. You see, the Most High caused us to forget the very land we're standing on. Huh? Why? For you have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. And see, this is why we keep Torah, because we don't want to burn forever.
This earth-spanning conflict wasn't short, but lasted decades, and it only ended around 1900, at least when the cleanup period of swallowing the remnants of the old kingdoms, Mughal India, Tokugawa Japan, Qing China, Free Tartary, etc., is taken into consideration as well.
Con. All right, let's cook.
A possible timeline.
Come on.
Here's a speculative timeline of our recent past.
Give it to me. Come on.
Around 1,000 to 2,000 years ago, a worldwide connected civilization gets destroyed and flooded due to an unknown event, possibly high-tech and highly spiritual.
Okay, well, we'll take the highly spiritual, all right? Why? On the count of three, my tribe. 1, 2, 3. The Most High did it, huh?
Humans become divided into multiple factions, different languages develop. Before this, no modern oceans existed, and the Earth was, according to the early world maps, 3 equal parts, with rivers in between and small oceans at both North and South Pole.
Mm-hmm.
Africa, Libya, Europa, Asia.
Okay, now, this is their maps, right? Because we see Europe, Asia, and Libya. All right, but we don't see no Amarukhan. We don't see no land of Shem, because this is all they knew. You see, they couldn't get past the pillars of Hercules, right? And so when the Most High allowed them to, all right, when it was time for us to go into these curses, all right, they thought the world was going to end. Why? Because they found you Israelites, all right? They thought they was fulfilling prophecy. And so this is their map. All right, let's go.
All named after prominent leaders from that time.
Uh-huh.
After this event, humans come together to preserve the pre-flood knowledge, try to live in truth and harmony, and the Jesus figure was either a metaphorical symbol for this time or was actually one of the leaders of that movement.
Or not. Or not. Okay. Will the real scholars please stand up? All right.
And the penny dropped that Jesus, as a human being, never existed.
Let's go. Let's cook.
The presentation of the Jesus character, it's somewhat of a composite of many messianic leaders of the time.
Come on.
Well, let's just go back to the drawing board and we'll leave aside all of the assumptions of Christian history and let's just look at the text afresh and consider every possibility. Let's open the whole game up.
Come on.
Can you think that Christianity is really paganism by a different name? Now it feels completely obvious.
Come on.
Some of us are saying that this was a sun god turned into a Jewish man.
Come on.
In all of this, we're dealing with literature. We're not dealing with history. So the answer is no, there is no history to this character of Jesus. It's entirely a literary creation.
Double come.
Christianity was invented by a little-known family of Roman Caesars, the Flavians.
And Pisos.
And they left us documents to prove it.
Around 1,000 years ago, the first efforts are made to map the new post-flood world with the Mappa Mundus. Julius Caesar lives during that time and creates the first maps by sending out teams of scouts and researchers. Kingdoms and authorities get established, trading flourishes, money is used extensively, the golden age of the Middle Ages before the Little Ice Age starts.
Okay.
Around 600 to 800 years ago, another Earth-spanning catastrophe happens. Earth is expanding, and the modern oceans are created. The continent of modern America splits off from Asia. Most of the kingdoms suffer greatly. Climate gets worse. The last survivors of the pre-flood civilizations die out, giants, as well as mythical creatures like unicorns, and failures from genetic experiment.
All right. Now, we're just talking dragon, all right? Unicorn, all right? Code word for dragon, all right? And that's word to Kurimio. Let's rock.
Between 1400 and 1700, kingdoms and empires recover. Life goes on, even though it's a bit more difficult than before. The 4 seasons we know today as our normal weather patterns are established. The concept of religion is born because after the 1400 catastrophe, the memories of what the Gnostics and other groups tried to achieve fades away. The independent Gnostic groups fight against the corrupt church institutions in Central Europe and elsewhere.
You see that? All right. Now we're just talking Edomites. Okay? All right. Which is Rome. All right. And Rome became who? The church. And I got news for you. They wasn't white. They were all melanated. Let's go.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
All right, whatever, Ephesians.
They understand that evil creates pyramidal chain of commands that transcend individuals. Writings are shared between those groups, which are rewritten by the Vatican Church during 1600 to 1800.
We're just talking Council of Nicaea, Council of Trent, This is the rewriting of history, all right? Let's go.
And published as the canonical and censored Bible. The 30 Years' War in the 17th century is an encrypted and highly distorted memory of that fight. The Jesuit Vatican Church and the secret societies connected to them decide to add 1,000 years to recent history and invent a new calendar, which is to be enforced worldwide. Competing native calendars are destroyed, and the accompanying myths alongside.
All right. All right. 2 things she said, right? The scripture being rewritten, right? And so we ask, who did that? We looking at him, black ass King James. All right. Now look who he's talking to, Is that a pope? Hey, man, you know we got to rewrite they books and stuff, man. Look at him. Or black-ass King James. All right? All right, all right. All right, now another thing, all right, the adding of 1,000 years, So, what are we talking, Drop?
Because we're just talking about the timeline. So we're saying what happened in his so-called Dark Ages? What happened in his so-called Middle Ages? What happened when we hear these Prester Johns popping up 300 years apart? What happened when we say that this Babylonian and Assyrian captivity could have easily gone down in the 1200s? That the book of Daniel could have easily been written in the 12th century?
Come on.
It's not just us going crazy. So these folks in Russia went through with the astronomy, matching stuff up, and they realized that these people literally started layering historical events, kings, on top of each other, or dropping them off in the past, 300 years apart, 1,000 years pushing it back, 1,800 years pushing it back. And it's the same king, but a different name in a different place, just to confuse you. Let's get a couple of minutes, because these people are researching this chronology. For the man, go. Let's go.
Given a pair of duplicates, statistics. But his is what we might call one radical interpretation. Now, before you say this guy's out of his mind, what Fomenko does, given a pair of duplicates, what Fomenko does is says, well, can we establish astronomically which one is valid? So, take, for example, Thucydides' Peloponnesian Wars. There are 3 eclipses mentioned in the Peloponnesian Wars. They're described with great fullness. There's a lunar eclipse, an annular solar eclipse, and another lunar eclipse. You can infer what the path of totality was, and a whole deal from these descriptions. The creators of modern chronology, namely Scaliger and Batavius, tried to astronomically solve the problem of those eclipses. We're not able to do it without leaving out some of the data provided by Thucydides, who, by the way, says he was a personal witness of this. So Fomenko did. He said, let's make no presuppositions about this. Where are the exact astronomical solutions for this triad of eclipses? And it turns out to be one in the 11th century AD and one in the 12th century AD, and no others. So what Fomenko does quite regularly is he will appeal to astronomical arguments to try to determine which is the principal one, and his conclusion, and however crazy they sound, is extraordinarily well argued, is that the only legitimate history is the modern history from about 300 on, and most of that, by the way, is from 900 on.
So the only legitimate history, according to this methodology, and go and get the True Chronology series, because we went deep into that for hours into Fomenko, Anatoly. Alright. After the 900s, after the 300s, mostly after the 900 is when the legitimate history. So when you talk about most of your legitimate, what you're calling history that's been taught to you, happened after the 900s. Are we crazy to say, let's have an hypothesis here? Did all this just happen, and just to disconnect us, they pushed it back to the BCs and pushed it back to times that seem so long ago, so that your Israelite behind would not connect to the fact that your Israelite kingdom was just taken down?
It wasn't that long ago, y'all. You see that? Do you see that on the right-hand side? All right? We're talking phantoms and duplications. All right? Work to yourself the real. All they did was mimic you Israelites. You see that? All their paradigms, right? Their falsified paradigms coincide with you Israelites. You see that? So they didn't create nothing. All right? All right? Which is also prophesied in Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out Shalaki, the saints of the Most High. And what? Think to change times, laws. All right? And they shall be given into his hands until a time and times, and the dividing of time. All right? But that time is almost up.
Between 1600 and 1700, another worldwide cataclysm hits with a second Earth-expanding event climate gets really bad and evil begins to envelop the earth. This event destroys most technological knowledge of the past and creates the last survivors of ancient kingdoms, but their power is reduced. The institutional churches and secret societies from Europe use this event to colonize the entire world.
Colonize the whole world, huh? But everything starts with you, Israel. Deuteronomy 28, verse 25. The Most High will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. And you shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. And you shall become troublesome to all the kingdoms of the earth. Huh?
And rewrite history on every continent. New maps and narratives are being created. The remnants of Tartary and other remaining free empires and monarchies, remnants of the old world governance style, get overrun between 1700 and 1850 due to their military weakness and decentral governance style rooted in the old world tradition.
All right.
Modern science is established between 1700 and 1850 with the aim to destroy all previous knowledge about cataclysms, spirituality, and cosmology. Another small cataclysm, be it natural or a war, happens around 1800 with the year without a summer, 1816, as a surviving concept. It doesn't destroy as much structures as the other events before, but it costs many people their lives and gives rise to industrialization. The small group connected to the European churches and secret societies, especially the Jesuits, have secretly kept some of the pre-1800 knowledge and slowly reintroduced some of that knowledge to society. This is known as the Industrial Age to the uninitiated. The Napoleonic Wars are probably also part of the deception created by...
Now, I totally agree. All right. Napoleon is a question mark. All right. Probably a made up character. All right. Let's go.
Academia to rewrite this event.
Let's go.
1900. People all over the world, especially outside Central Europe, still remember some parts of the true history, and both fascism and socialism, communism are created to destroy all the remaining high culture in the Europe and eastern parts of the world. The 2 world wars lead to the destruction of large parts of European, especially German, architecture connected to the old world, and also the loss of significant knowledge of the past.
Come on. Let's cook.
Grand technological and cultural reset.
Let's go.
The big last reset likely happened around 400 to 600 years ago. This is what creates all the ruins archaeologists put 2,000 years into the past, and the late Renaissance paintings of Rome in ruins is after that event. Most buildings from before that time have crumbled to dust. It's hard to say if this event is equal to the event of the biblical flood that gave us all the petrified remains of a high-tech civilization. There could have been another grand reset event way before 1700.
Of course.
So the last reset probably wasn't responsible for the flood myths we encounter in all religions and myths around the world. This last reset event is when Africa turned into a desert, when South America turned into a forest, and when the Northern Hemisphere turned into a crater-plastered wasteland, likely from electromagnetical plasma discharge related to the sun activity.
All right, man, for the last time, try it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. The Most High did it.
The map changes, bigger oceans, for example, give the impression of a natural cataclysm.
It's cool.
World War of 1800. Originally, I thought whatever happened around 1800 was another natural cataclysm, But it starts to look more and more like a world war.
Mm-hmm.
This war of sorts is also what causes what is often called the Mudflood. It creates all the half-buried buildings, and the destroyed American cities happen at the same time or shortly afterwards.
All right.
All of the following events are roughly the same event, artificially split up by historians.
Destroyed, burned down American cities.
Dragons.
American Civil War.
Fake.
New Madrid earthquake of 1812.
Most High did it.
Mystery eruption of 1808.
Big dragon.
Great comet of 1811.
Big dragon.
War of 1812.
Fake.
The year without a summer, 1816.
Most High did it.
Napoleon, New Order in Europe.
Fake.
Mud-flooded buildings.
Most High did it.
Both events, the Great Reset 400 to 600 years ago, and the World War of 1800, would be tied together, because what's most interesting is what happened in between. I think the universal Renaissance-style architecture is evidence that after the last big cataclysm, a unified civilization built the Neoclassical architecture and cities all over the world.
Nah, I mean, everybody was building that way, all right? So it's just a type of biblical style of building, all right? And so this is why you see them on every continent. But keeping in mind, over here in Amarukhan, we inherited some of those buildings because giants built them and dwelt in them. All right. And we get that in Deuteronomy. But we still cooking.
Within a very short time period. It was a massive post-catastrophe effort of rebuilding society anew everywhere. And despite the cataclysm ending the classical age, they had so many resources and knowledge left that they were able to build all those buildings. All of the post-reset architecture we see today was built in such a small time frame that we can't comprehend this effort with our current understanding of how...
No, these structures have always been here, right? And now you do have the Moors, all right, adapting this style of building, all right? But them being put up in a short span of time, we doubt it. All right, but we still cooking though.
How buildings can be built. Previously, I have suggested that, for example, the American War of Independence was probably not a war between the USA and Great Britain, but a war between USA, Great Britain on one side, and the original inhabitants of North America on the other side.
Huh? Yahtzee. Body bag, Daniel. Huh? Everybody should know that by now. All right? Except for we was fighting melanated hijack. All right? Again, all right? We just cannot find Caucasian people in scripture. All right? And so this is indeed a more on more war, right? Israelite against Israelite. Yes. We were fighting amongst each other. All right? All right? Now I'm going to ask my Aqua a question, right? What was that information that you was talking about?
This information about black/melanated people being in Europe. And one particular sister, I can't think of her name. She identified as Moor. I haven't seen her content around for quite some time. I heard, and I don't know if it's for sure, that she was being threatened behind the scenes for putting out certain information.
Wow.
I don't know if that's the case. I can't remember her name. But she was actually the one that literally said what happened over here in the Americas, although I know this is a separate conversation. She was the one that publicly put it out there that what happened over in the Americas was the Moors / Europeans
Edomites
fighting with the black Indians.
Okay.
And they were fighting amongst each other, and they fought so hard that a lot of stuff was destroyed. And she literally said, and I'm mixing up her quotation a little bit, that the white population was literally able just to step in and sit in the seat of power.
Okay. And pretty much, man, you know, they were initiated, okay, to, you know, take control. And so what we surmise over here at Drive Nation is that somebody's playing possum. And it's these two motherfuckers right here, Moab and Edom. All right. And this is why the Most High has it out for Moab and Edom. Okay? You think I'm lying? All right. We're in the ladder of Jacob, the Apocrypha. All right. And I'll have you pay attention to 15, right? Let's get that last sentence, that last verse, if you will, in 15. And then your seed, talking about Israel, will sound the horn, and all the kingdom of Edom will perish together with all the peoples of Moab. There you go.
How do you manage to change the history of something like the American War of Independence? Simple. Just like the war between the Western forces and Russian Tartary became the war between Western forces, Napoleon versus Moscow, you simply omit the enemy from the list and draw some arbitrary lines between the Western forces.
Omit, huh?
Note that the true enemy of the Westerners had to be included somehow, similar as the Tartars became mercenaries. The American Tartars became American Indians.
Got it.
Conveniently on both sides, so historians would not become suspicious when coming across historical evidence for an obvious conflict between natives and Westerners during the war. We are told the American Indians willingly traded in their independence for alcohol and weapons. But what if they only succumbed to alcohol after their entire civilization was destroyed and the only thing that was left were a couple of tents?
All right, we're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it. We're going to deal with it. Boy, I tell you, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. All right? And so this looks like a classroom setting, right? And I see some real American Indians, all right? Look like students being taught that this guy right here, all right there, is an Indian. All right, so you see the brainwashing, right? Now, with the real American Indians, please stand up. Huh? All right, nothing but the real ones. Can you please stand up for me? Look at the beautiful aquas, huh? Nah. See, we want to see the real ones. Huh? Will the real ones, American Indians / Negroes / Israelites who wore the feathered crown, please stand up. Huh?
There is also some evidence that the powers that be did a similar trick with Napoleon in Russia and hid the true enemy. This is roughly what I think happened 200 years ago, not only in the US, but on many continents. The real enemy of the World War of 1800 has been omitted from history.
All right. Again, we ask, who's been omitted from history, huh?
They were the original builders of the Renaissance-style architecture, and unfortunately, they lost to the forces of darkness.
He said they were the original builders of the Renaissance-style architecture, huh? And all you got to do is just look right behind them. You see that? They were the original builders of the Renaissance-style architecture, huh? I said they were the original builders of the Renaissance-style architecture. There go the real ones right there, complete with afros that can lock, all right? In Ezekiel, the Most High took the prophet by the lock of the hair. There go the real ones. All right? I mean, Most High took Ezekiel by the lock of the hair. And so they were the original builders of the Renaissance architecture, huh? Okay? They, meaning the guy on the left with the feathered crown, because only Israelites wore the feathered crown. Okay? He would have been one of the original builders of the Renaissance architecture. Not his enemies standing to the right, okay, which is an Edomite and a Moabite. Okay, you can tell Moab because they like to cover their head. All right, turbans and shit. Will the real ones please stand up? All right, this has been fun. 9 Spiral. Okay, you see the feathered crown, huh? Yo, man, shout out to Drop Nation. All right, shout out to the Ether Squad. All right, and shout out, most importantly, to the 12 tribes of Israel. Travel